and welcome once again to Personality Quotient Conversation. And our topic of discussion today revolves around two very important communication skills, listening and talking. We have with us our mentor, Faisal Qureshi. Let's see what he has to say about this topic. Hi Faisal.
Hi Ayesha, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Getting along. Times are tough.
Okay, so Faisal, listening and talking.
There was a time when people used to say you have to listen more and listen carefully, don't talk too much, but I think that's changed. You have to start talking. In today's world, there's so much noise on internet, television, radio, music. If you're not speaking out, you're not being heard, you become quite irrelevant. So you have to, first of all, you have to speak out. Get that straight.
Yeah, but from the very beginning, we've always been told that become good listeners. You have to listen to people, and I think our focus is now more on listening rather than voicing our own opinions.
Like I said, that has to change, and I think, interesting. Listen more, talk less is still valid in countries which are not evolving and developing, if I may risk this comment, cultures where people are developing and evolving faster than the others, they're encouraging their children to speak out, to be heard.
That is a very right observation.
And they're the ones who are evolving.
Yeah.
Because if you take away the desire to speak out, to express, you have a problem, and thus you're getting frustrated cultures where people aren't thinking. Critical thinking is disappearing because there's sort of a gap on don't talk too much. Talk. You have to be heard. And also, you're on Facebook, you're on Twitter, you've got a blog, and if you have nothing to say, it doesn't matter. I mean, I could have 100,000 people following me. It's only the 10 who are talking to me which matter.
Right.
The other 99,900 whatever, they're irrelevant.
Yeah.
So you have to stand out, you have to stand up, and you have to be counted, and you have to speak out.
Now, is that also the reason why a lot of us fear talking? A lot of us fear of voicing our own opinions because we've always been taught to become good listeners?
No, well, I think it's two-pronged. One, yes, maybe, but we are. And that's a global problem, even in countries or cultures where people are evolving, like I said earlier, even there people hesitate to talk because we feel we have nothing to say.
Right.
Or we would make a fool of ourselves, or we are too scared to take a risk and say something and people don't take it too well.
Or
so that is a problem.
Is that also because you do not want to deal with all the objections that's going to come?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, again, lack of confidence, and yes, you don't want to have face the objection.
But isn't that the actual reason why we should be talking out? Because you need to voice your opinions and not be afraid of what people are going to say about it, but rather than just, decide how you're going to face it.
Yeah, but don't talk nonsense.
Yeah.
Don't talk nonsense.
We'll go there. We'll go there in a bit.
You see? So you have to work on your content as well. Yes, premise A, you have to talk. You can't just be listeners.
Yeah.
Listen well, no doubt, but talk. But then, while I say listen well, I would say talk well as well. Talk well as well. That sounds funny, but talk well as well. You have to improve your content. You have to be knowledgeable. You have to have control and command over your language. Language is the tool of conversation. If you don't have control over the language, it's an issue. If you can't express yourself quickly and effectively and efficiently, it's a problem. So yes, you have to learn the tool of communication, which is language. Get your pronunciations and accents as good as you can. I'd be a fine one to say I'm speaking with a heavy non-English accent myself. But given that, you have to improve your content. There has to be depth in what you're saying. Don't say things for the sake of saying and really make a fool of yourselves. There are people talking at a level of intelligence, and you say something really stupid.
Yeah, and that just kills
Don't
the
do
moment.
And you look like a fool.
Yeah.
So no, you have to work on your content.
And also, we're not able to differentiate between where you should be talking and where you shouldn't be talking. So how will you differentiate between the two? Because
how would you differentiate between the two? If I say, where should you not talk?
I think
in a conversation, you should be a part of it.
Yeah.
But don't talk at people. Don't talk back at to people. All those phrases. Don't do that. Do not be disrespectful or do not misbehave.
Yeah.
I mean, if your parents are talking about something, would you interject? Well, if it's a conversation, a discussion, yes, you should interject. But if it's a discussion where your boss is talking to another company's boss, and would you interject? Maybe not. So it depends on the situation. But if it's an open forum discussion and conversation, you should, if you have something to say, you should say.
And ensure that what you're saying is the right thing.
If you have something
and relevant
to say.
to whatever is being discussed.
Right, but again, the moment we say that, people listening would say, oh, hang on, I've got nothing to say. Well, you know what, that's no excuse. Find something to say, learn, read, absorb information, know what's happening in the world, be in tune with the current affairs, know what's happening so you have something to say. Not having something to say is not an excuse. That's shameful. In today's world, it's a very open world. If you're watching this video, if people are watching this video, they have access to internet.
Right.
They have access to language. They have access to understanding. They have access to unlimited information. And if they're not absorbing or improving the quality of their content, you know what? I'm sorry, that's no excuse.
Yeah, that's right. Because I've still seen a lot of people are still struggling with, what they have to say or what they don't have to say, because they believe that, it's just too much. They can't do it. They can't handle it. They can't handle so many objections going on.
Well, you use the word struggling. I don't think they're struggling. If they were,
I would personally say, because I've really come a long way and I've improved myself. I was a good listener. I did not talk or voice my opinions.
Okay.
But with time, when you start working or when you're studying and when you start interacting with people, is when you realize, no, you really need to voice your opinion, because that's only when you become obvious. Mm-hmm. That's where you stand out.
That's where you become significant.
Right.
Otherwise
nobody would know you. And I guess this right now plays a very important role on social media, because that's where you need to create your presence.
Absolutely.
And talking or saying things the right way is where your success is right there for you.
Saying the right thing the right way, not just the right way. So the right thing, the right way. And what is the right thing and the right way? That you have to learn and evolve.
Yeah.
But you said that you used the word struggling. If you were struggling or making an effort, it's so easy to do. You have no reason to fail. The fact that you're failing, you're not struggling, you're not making an effort. Because it is so easy today to find topics of interest. I have searched for some really bizarre things. Someone somewhere has talked about it. So it doesn't matter how basic or how weird your thought pattern is. There are people out there thinking just like you. And I wouldn't even use the word weird. Different. You're thinking out of the box. You're thinking things which normal people aren't thinking, which average people aren't thinking. But there's somebody out there. So if you're not communicating, if you're not speaking out to someone, I'm sorry, you have a problem. And maybe harsh words, but you have a problem.
But that someone only comes when you're convincing. How do you develop that convincing power?
You will convince when you have something. If you've got something of value to say, you will convince. And you know what? There's so much to be said. There is so much to be heard. There's so much to be read, and there's so much to be shared back. There's just so much. I mean, that word sounds like so much, but really, as I was growing up, people in my contact with those in my classroom, 40 people, or maybe my school, 200 people. When I came to university, maybe people I knew, a couple of hundred people. You're social, you're meeting 200, 300, 400 people. But then came this little animal called the internet.
Yeah.
And suddenly, on the Speak for Change page, we have 235,000 people. My personal Facebook page has 45 or 50,000 people. And they're all listening to you.
Yeah.
So you can't today say, and if they talk back, I'm listening to them. So if today I say I'm not absorbing or learning anything new, that's crap. And if I say I have nothing to say, I have to get myself checked. There is so much information out there.
Yeah, so again, silence is not the way. Say the right thing at the right time, the right way.
The days of silence are in a classroom where you're being lectured. Even there, when the teacher says questions, you better add value. And if you don't add value, it doesn't work. So you got to speak out. Listen well, speak well, have something to say, which is good and valuable.
Right, Faisal. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, Ayesha.
For more Personality Quotient conversation, visit our website tv.personalityquotient.com.